This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Friday, the 14th day of June in the year 2024. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. The U.S. Ambassador to Guyana, Nicole D. Theriault, has revealed that the recently announced sanctions by the U.S. Treasury Department against billionaire Guyanese businessman Nazar Mohammed, his son Azruddin, and Permanent Secretary May Thomas followed a 2.5-year investigation by the U.S. Treasury Department, which led the corruption probe. Speaking to reporters today at the U.S. Embassy in Georgetown, Ambassador Theriault explained that the investigation was very detailed and thorough.
So these sanctions were 2.5+ years of investigations ongoing in the United States. We reserve these types of sanctions for gross levels of corruption and human rights abuses. In fact, 2 days ago, we also levied sanctions on quite a few Russian financiers of the Ukraine crisis. So this is something that we reserve for very serious crimes. And after 2.5 years, it was a whole of U.S. government investigation. And we had, and it's a very high bar. We do not do this lightly. This is something that we ensure that we have a preponderance of evidence before we're ready to levy these sanctions. And we had that in this case against the 3 individuals who were sanctioned.
2 days ago, the U.S. Treasury Department announced the sanctions against the Mohammeds, a number of their companies, and Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Labor, May Thomas. The Mohammeds were cited for evasion of taxes of more than $50 million, the under-declaration and illegal export of gold, and bribe payments, among other alleged acts of corruption. The Permanent Secretary has been cited by the U.S. government for using her office to become involved in a bribery scheme and other corrupt activities linked to the Mohammed family. Ambassador Theriault said the 3 were targeted in the corruption investigations by the U.S. Treasury Department.
The investigation was specific to these 3 individuals. I'm not aware of any additional investigations at this time.
And the U.S. Ambassador also confirmed the Guyana government's request for more information on the U.S. investigations. She said the request has since been forwarded to the relevant U.S. agencies, and she has encouraged the sharing of as much information as could be shared.
President Jagdeo, actually it was Finance Minister Singh and Commissioner General Stacia who requested specifically officially in writing for the documentation that we used in building the case for these sanctions, and that was requested, and I strongly recommended to our partners back at in Washington that they provide as much of that information as possible, because I understand that the government here wants to do their own investigation and follow up on this. They're also incredibly concerned about this corruption.
The U.S. investigation of the Mohammeds and Permanent Secretary May Thomas was spearheaded by the U.S. Treasury Department, with a number of other U.S. government agencies supporting the probe. The governments of Guyana and local law enforcement agencies were unaware of the widespread probe that was taking place over a 2.5-year period. To the concerns that local law enforcement was left in the dark, the U.S. envoy explained that to keep the investigations close hold, many times they have to ensure information is not compromised. Since the announcement of the sanctions, the Mohammed family has remained silent. The Guyana government, through the Bank of Guyana, has since revoked the cambio license that was issued to the Mohammeds. And the Guyana Gold Board, the Guyana Revenue Authority, and the Guyana Geologian Mines Commission have launched investigations of their own with regard to the under-declaration of gold and the other connected reported corrupt activities, including the bribery of government officials. Permanent Secretary May Thomas, who has since been sent on leave from her government job, has resigned from the Central Committee of the governing PPP. And according to Vice President Jagdeo, she maintains her innocence. The government of Guyana has said that it plans to have the relevant agencies conduct detailed investigations of all of the information and reported corrupt activities highlighted in the U.S. Treasury Department report. More news coming up in just a moment.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
All the big bands, all the big names from all around the world. The return of the biggest chutney show, Clash of the Titans, June 22nd, the Guyana National Stadium, the ICC Cricket T20 World Cup weekend. This is Clash of the Titans. One big stage, one big night, over 7 big bands, over 40 artists performing June 22nd, the Guyana National Stadium. This is Clash of the Titans.
Cultural extravaganza is here again. Yes, it's dedication to Daddy 5, a father's dream too. Featuring Marissa Morgan Bonney, Romel Edmondson, Keisha Sam, Delisha Wright, Simone Dowding, Julian Harry, Colin Ambrose, Mosa Telford, Frederick Minty, Antoine De Silva, Ryan Headley, Creative Arts Dance Troupe, and others. On Sunday, June 16 from 8 p.m. at the National Cultural Center. Tickets are $2,500. Directed by Sharon Cadogan Taylor.
Okay, let's do this thing. Okay, let's do this thing. Okay, let's do this thing. Okay, let's do this thing.
Well, the opposition APNU-AFC today said the U.S. sanctions against Permanent Secretary May Thomas and PPP local government representative and businessman Nazar Mohammed and his son directly links the government of Guyana to high-level corruption that possibly includes high-ranking officials of the current administration. At the opposition's weekly press conference, economic advisor to the opposition leader Elson Lowe said the move by the U.S. to sanction Thomas and the Mohammeds for alleged acts of corruption and gold smuggling has exposed the administration for its alleged involvement in corrupt acts. The opposition said the government cannot distance itself from the 3 persons sanctioned by the U.S. authorities. The opposition reminded that the same government that is now seeking additional information from the U.S. on the corruption claims sought to protect Permanent Secretary Thomas when she was detained and grilled by the U.S. authorities last year and had her phone seized and her visa revoked.
She should have been sent on leave since then in order to carry out a thorough investigation. But the PPP encourages corruption, so these serious indications of potential wrongdoing are always swept under the carpet. We are aware that she is but the first of a long list of senior PPP officials who are likely to face sanctions as the U.S. policy of investigating corruption in Guyana continues.
While accusing the government of putting the country's economy at risk due to possible sanctions, Lowe said the government must do all in its powers to protect the country's financial system.
We want to urge that the government take these sanctions seriously and act within the confines of the law to root out such crime involving other party members that may be involved in corruption, smuggling, or any other illegal activities. We also urge the government to carry out a risk assessment so that it can advise Guyana's financial institutions on an orderly way to approach these sanctions.
He also said the Irfan Ali administration must not turn its face from a threat to the entire local financial system, urging further that the government carefully navigates the crisis without provoking further sanctions on any of the country's financial institutions. Yesterday, Vice President Barra Jagdeo said the government has instructed the Bank of Guyana and the Financial Intelligence Unit to compile a report on the implications of the sanctions on Guyana's financial system. He said the government will take the necessary steps to safeguard the country's financial system. Leader of the People's National Congress Reform Aubrey Norton said there are no grounds to remove Sherwin Benjamin as the administrator of the party's Congress Committee and accreditation officer, as he brushed aside concerns today by his rival Roycel Ford over some possible biases. One day after nomination day, Mr. Ford and his team contended that Benjamin had publicly backed the incumbent leader. But in brushing aside the concerns raised by Ford, Norton said Benjamin is a member of the PNC. He said Benjamin, like Merton Mamingo, who previously served as the head of the Accreditation Committee, and Vincent Alexander, who served as the returning officer during the last Congress, is his friend. He said when duty calls, they all have acted impartially.
But mind you, a lot of what you're hearing here is a response to the overwhelming nomination of Aubrey Norton as leader. Has nothing to do with bias, etc.
Mr. Norton claimed that while a person may have been nominated for a position in the party once seated at the helm of the Accreditation Committee, it is expected that that person would decline that nomination. Norton, who is seeking re-election during the upcoming Biennial Delegates Congress and elections, said the chatter is in response to his overwhelming support.
And many of them are my friends, so I don't see the basis for the removal of Sherwin Benjamin. Sherwin Benjamin is served this party, is committed to this party. The only condition I know it is placed when it comes to accreditation is that the person who is in charge of accreditation should not be contesting in the election, and Sherwin is not contesting in the election. Some there are who mix up nomination and contesting.
Ford has also expressed serious concern about the nomination process. He said reports received indicate that numerous group chairs and regional chairpersons made nominations without proper authorization from the respective groups that they represent.
All the big bands, all the big names from all around the world. The return of the biggest chutney show, Clash of the Titans, June 22nd, the Guyana National Stadium, the ICC Cricket T20 World Cup weekend. This is Clash of the Titans. One big stage, one big night, over 7 big bands, over 40 artists performing June 22nd, the Guyana National Stadium. This is Clash of the Titans.
I wonder what man. Jesus. Wamlin then? Look like you got the whole of Guyana in your shoulder, boy. But right now me had speed in, boy. Guess who come last night and disturbed me for me sleep and telling me why she ain't got nowhere to stay and want to stay here? Who? Dulce. Dulce? The sick thing? Yeah.
You mean the smooth red thing?
Yeah, buddy.
You mean Spanish?
Yeah. Mucho español.
Mamacita.
Buddy, you can listen to me, buddy. Yes, Papi.
The play of the year is here. Ronald Hollingsworth brings to you Till I Find a Place in Guyana, the Spanish Connection. June 22 and 23 at the National Cultural Center. Tickets $3,000 and $2,500. Directed by Sharon Cadogan Taylor and Ronald Hollingsworth. Till I Find a Place, the Spanish Connection.
It's a Spanish coming inside, Spanish.
Mobil 1 is more than oil. It's many oils. It transforms at the molecular level. When cold, it's thicker than honey. When hot, it's thinner than water. Mobil 1 adapts and readapts to last longer. 16,000 kilometers between oil changes. That's your engine evolved.
Sol Guyana is the authorized distributor of Mobil lubricants.
You're heartless. Wait, what?
Last year I lend you my money, my weight plus babysit your grandchildren.
That mean you got to throw it in my face?
And you went to the band's birthday and had a grand time.
That is the best party I ever went to as a big woman.
I could just imagine how nice the party was. No, you almost give me heart attack telling me you bringing them children again. Nah. Me in missing the niceness. But how we going and enjoy the band's birthday?
Well, the mother gonna have to call in sick because I got to perform alongside 12 1-man-mans. Don't forget to remember Saturday 22nd of June at the National Park. Get your early bird tickets for $2,000, VIP $6,000 at Just Your Size Boutique, White Castle Fish Shop, Fireside Suites, Team Extra Locations, Stabrook Market, Stove Top, and J Box Office. Compliments of Fireside Grill and Chill and Extra Jail. Fans birthday, we present.
Let's go dancing.
As the government seeks to review the housing model for future developments to combat the threat of climate change, Chief Executive Officer of the Central Housing and Planning Authority, Sherwin Greaves, said the Silica City project on the Suzac-Linden Highway will be a model for future housing development in the country. During the recent launch of the International Building Expo, Mr. Greaves said the global shift towards sustainability has created a new market for innovative housing solutions.
This ambitious endeavor exemplifies the fusion of sustainability and innovation. By addressing the impacts of climate change and sea level rise head-on, Silica City sets a new standard for modern urban development with its state-of-the-art infrastructure and emphasis on energy-saving technologies. Silica City is not just a city of the future. It is a blueprint for sustainable living.
Greaves said the upcoming International Building Expo will also pave the way for the Housing Ministry to seek new partners who are interested in building sustainable housing and developing same across the country. The Silica City project has set aside some 3,800 acres of land, and work on the infrastructure is already on the way, with some of the houses being constructed. Among them will be 100 residential homes, in addition to shopping centers, apartment complexes, condos, hotels, restaurants, and other facilities. In the first phase, the Housing Ministry will be seeking to develop more than 10,000 acres of the land. 27-year-old Port Kaituma gold miner Silos France was charged and remanded to jail today for the murder of his reputed wife. He appeared in court at Port Kaituma and was not required to enter a plea to the charge that he murdered 23-year-old Paulette Edwards. The woman's headless body was discovered in a swamp in the Port Kaituma community in Region 1 earlier this week, after she had been reported missing by her relatives. The police suspected the reputed husband to be the suspect from the very start of the probe, since he could not be located just after the woman's disappearance and had a history of abusing her. The man was arrested 2 days ago and reportedly admitted to the crime. The woman's body was identified by family members who noted a scar on the body. Investigators believe she was murdered sometime between the 3rd and 7th of June. The accused has been remanded to jail until the 6th of August, when the case will be called again.
Ivy, baby, something's wrong with you.
You're heartless.
Wait, what?
Last year I lend you my money, my weight plus babysit your grandchildren.
That mean you got to throw it in my face?
And you went to the band's birthday and had a grand time.
That is the best party I ever went to as a big woman.
I could just imagine how nice the party was. No, you almost give me heart attack telling me you bringing them children again. Nah. Me in missing the niceness. But how we going and enjoy the band's birthday?
Well, the mother gonna have to call in sick because I got to perform alongside 12 1-man-mans. Don't forget to remember Saturday 22nd of June at the National Park. Get your early bird tickets for $2,000, VIP $6,000 at Just Your Size Boutique, White Castle Fish Shop, Fireside Suites, Team Extra Locations, Stabrook Market, Stove Top, and J Box Office. Compliments of Fireside Grill and Chill and Extra Jail. Fans birthday, we present.
Let's go dancing.
Look at the breathtaking beauty of the Essequibo. From its pristine rivers to its abundant resources, it's a treasure that belongs to Guyana, and we ask Venezuela to respect the rule of international law.
Our commitment to this land is not just about ownership. It's about preserving its beauty and resources for our people and future generations.
The controversy between Guyana and Venezuela was settled internationally as full, perfect and final in 1899. Essequibo belongs to Guyana.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. Guyoil is at the forefront of this development by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of Guyoil's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. Guyoil has now repositioned itself as a market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Bust the flavors. We're full of flavors. Bust the flavors that me crave for. We're full of flavors. Tell your neighbors about the bust the flavors. Grab a bust the flavors. Yeah, thirst buster. Grab a buster. Bust the flavor, taste the savor. Bust the flavors. Bust the flavors.
With your regional and international news tonight, I'm Svetlana Marshall in the region. A Canadian Navy patrol ship sailed into Havana early on Friday, just hours after the United States announced a fast attack submarine had docked at its Guantanamo naval base on Cuba, both vessels on the heels of Russian warships that arrived on the island earlier this week. According to Reuters, the confluence of Russian, Canadian, and the U.S. vessels in Cuba, a communist-ruled island nation just 100 miles from Florida, serve up a reminder of old Cold War tensions and of current tense ties between Russia and the Western nations over the Ukraine war. However, both the U.S. and Cuba have said the Russian warships pose no threat to the region. Russia has also characterized the arrival of its warships in Cuba as routine. Brazil has asked Argentina for information about dozens of supporters of former President Jair Bolsonaro seeking refuge in the neighboring country to avoid legal consequences for storming Brasilia last year as part of an alleged coup attempt. Brazilian police officials said the request lodged on Monday was a precursor to possible extradition requests. On January 8, 2023, a week after President Luiz Lula da Silva took office, thousands of demonstrators stormed Congress, the Supreme Court, and the Presidential Palace in a rampage that some expected would create chaos, justifying a military coup to overturn Lula's election. Federal police officials told Reuters they believe between 50 and 100 Bolsonaro supporters charged with vandalism and insurrection had fled to Argentina after Javier Milei took office in December. Most of the fugitives were tried and convicted by the Supreme Court and faced harsh sentences, including up to 17 years in prison for plotting a coup, said a senior police officer involved in the investigation. And finally tonight, international news. Vladimir Putin has said Ukraine would need to withdraw troops from territories Russia claims to have annexed before a ceasefire could begin, a proposal Ukraine's president called a Hitler-like ultimatum. Volodymyr Zelensky has long said Ukraine will not negotiate with Moscow until Russian forces leave all Ukrainian territory, including Crimea. The Russian president also said Ukraine would have to give up on joining NATO before peace talks could start. Mr. Putin's statement setting out his ceasefire conditions comes as leaders from 90 countries prepare to meet in Switzerland on Saturday to discuss paths towards peace in Ukraine, a summit Russia has not been invited to. Speaking to a meeting of Russian ambassadors in Moscow on Friday, Mr. Putin called on the Ukrainian government to withdraw from the 4 regions partially occupied by Russia. He also said Ukraine would need to officially give up its efforts to join the NATO military alliance for the Russian advance to be halted. And that's your news source.